We can go ahead and let's go ahead and get started. So welcome everybody to our second Intelligent Automation Insights with Eileen Riley, and I'm Michelle Collier. Before we get started, I'll hand it over to Eileen, but just a couple administrative things. We want this obviously to have your questions answered. And so if you have questions, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A and I'll monitor those and we'll cover them at the end. If you have an immediate question, you can raise your hand and we could try to answer that way, but I think we'll try to save them for the end if possible. And with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over we will be sending the recording out as well. And so if anybody on your team missed it, we'll send the recording out and we'll get you registered for the next one here coming up in, I believe, July already. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Eileen, but thanks and welcome back.
Thanks. Appreciate that, Michelle. And thanks to all of you that have joined. This is our second session in this webinar insight series that we have decided to take upon. So really excited for you all to be here with us, especially for this particular topic. We're going to go through value realization, benefits ROI, reporting metrics, and then some key takeaways and next steps. And the overall theme, especially of this session, is really finding value in your automation program and how that can help you be successful in your long-term success. All right. With that said, if any of you had joined our last webinar, we did go through just a couple of key high-level topics when it comes to finding value, really why and how you can be moving forward with automation. And these were some of the main topics that came up. They were really we call them reasons for excitement, why you would want to go forward with an automation, program and really initiative. And a lot of these are ways to get started, but also a lot of these tie back to finding that value. Knowing what value, what benefits you're going to get out of the program really is critical to that longer term success. So we have a couple of high-level topics here, such as, improved employee morale, productivity is another big one, consistency, governance. And these really, I think, are some of those more generic or basic reasons why you'd want to move forward with automation. But as we go through some of the following slides that really have some good KPIs, metrics that you can start to focus on, I think one of the good themes here is to keep in mind that a lot of these, ideas of value, benefits, ROI are going to be tailored to your organization. They're going to be those metrics and objectives that you are tracking at a baseline level. So while there may be a lot of consistency among different companies, verticals, et cetera, at the end, it is something that, you want to sit down and really determine what's going to be the most beneficial for you all and your organization, and how you're going to get there. Anything that I've left out on your front, Michelle?
No, I don't think so. I think everybody has different reasons and areas that they want to cover, but this is just lots of reasons for excitement. But I think you've covered them. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right. If any of you had attended the last webinar, you might recognize this slide as well. We did think that this is very applicable, especially when it comes to finding value. As you are moving through your automation program and really just beginning, that value piece is, again, critical at the very beginning. And I think having some of these three main steps as you are starting your program, again, is very important. So we talked about identifying some of those key business metrics. Again, these will be individual to each organization and, what are your priorities, but a lot of them are very consistent and standard across the board. So cycle time is a big one. We see that with a lot of companies, with a lot of our current clients. Decreasing that cycle time can lead to a lot of things, efficiency, cost savings. So there are a lot of things that are tied into that. Also cost reduction, which I just mentioned, but then customer and employee surveys are another great way to really get out some of these key metrics that you want to really be focusing on and have as part of your initiative. The second piece is the identification of processes. What also comes with this is prioritization. So you want to figure out what business processes really are going to be the best for you to move forward with. A lot of those are tied to direct ROI. Sometimes the low hanging fruit can have some of the largest ROI because those are the most manual, repetitive, time consuming tasks that your day-to-day subject matter experts are doing. So I think identifying those processes, and then feasibility is another piece that comes with that. Knowing if your processes are ones that you should be moving forward with. We always say that just because you can automate a process doesn't always mean that you should. And it's a good thing to take a look through a lot of those different components of that process to determine that feasibility. These three things really together are going to help you get the most value, how to determine what value is associated with your different processes and which ones that you can move forward with in that prioritized fashion. All right. And then this is just another good high level that speaks to the feasibility. If you're asking yourself, well, we have a list of automation opportunities out there. We think that we should move forward with them. We're not quite sure how we can prioritize them or how we can kind of rank them. This is a good process to follow in coming up with that list. So we have, some of those key attributes. Are they repeatable? What's the automation ability? So the level of kind of thought throughout that process. If it's very standard, very kind of manual process, that's another automation ability. The importance of human involvement. If there's a lot of thought and inherent knowledge that goes into a process, a lot of times this can make them more difficult in order to automate. And then system upgrades, moving to new systems, etc. So this is just a good list of categorizations that you can use to determine the feasibility or if you want to move forward with that automation. So again, it's just in that overall value, how you are assigning value to the automation processes and those things in your pipeline and backlog. Okay. And then maybe just a good question to ask is, why is measuring value important? Why did we think that this was a good topic to include for a webinar series? Here we have on the right just a lot of really good KPIs and metrics that you really can start to assign. Again, very individualized, but we really do believe that actually knowing the value of your program, being able to assign value to each of the processes and what you're going to get back is very critical to the long-term success of your program. So again, the next couple of slides, we'll walk through how to go about doing that, just to give you some better ideas of what to start thinking through, what maybe different areas can you focus on in order to accomplish that. All right. So here we have just a good overview of, this is going to lead into some hard benefits. In the next slide below, we will also talk about some soft benefits. I think that incorporating both of these two into your overall value and ROI is really important. The hard benefits obviously are those quantitative ones. You're able to quantify them. They either have time saved, dollars saved, a change in, kind of overall efficiency. These are things that you can quantify. The soft benefits, which we'll get down to in a second, are harder. They're more qualitative. They will tell you, hey, employee morale has improved. So you can, qualify that somehow, but it is very hard to put an actual metric associated with some of those benefits. But again, used in tandem and together, they really can lead towards the greatest benefits and ROI back for your automation initiative.
And I would just add there, a lot of these are where you're going to find your your proof point to whether you should move forward. And a lot of these actually, at the end of the day, pay for the investment. If you think about the savings that are found in some of these hard ROI figures. So this is a place to really spend time when you're looking to advocate for a program within your organization. These are things that are, tangibles that are important as you're looking to get money to invest in a program.
Yep. Yeah, perfect. And I will say too that the reason why we put the hard benefits before the soft ones is sometimes to get that initial buy-in, it can be easier to focus on those harder benefits: cost savings, increased productivity, resource optimization and allocation, and then that bottom line growth, that revenue generation. So these are ones that can help you get started, get that buy-in, as Michelle was mentioning, from leadership to move forward. Know that you at least have a good starting point, and then can move into some of the other benefits. So again, there are a lot more or additional hard benefits that you can focus on. These are just some of those more standard ones that I think a lot of people are focused on, at least to get their program started, and then can move into some of the more tangential type of benefits. But if we want to go, here are some of those soft ROI, or those qualitative ones that I was mentioning. So employee satisfaction, accuracy and compliance. This one can be a bit more tied to some of that cost reduction or risk reduction, but faster time to market, and then customer experience. I think most companies will agree that these are really important initiatives to not only be tracking, but also to be working towards improving. So again, a lot of those harder benefits can help ease the transition into these ones that I think, again, it makes that more just holistic picture of the overall benefits of automation and what you're truly getting out of your program and your initiative. All right. And then here we have another key, I think, area to focus on is really putting together those business metrics that are going to be important for your overall journey. What is going to gain the attention of leadership is going to gain the investment of leadership as well. And these are, again, just some good standard ones that a lot of companies have moved forward with, and they have determined that that is a priority for them to start out their automation program and to continue successfully. But a lot of these, you can, the value of time gains. So this one here is the difference between the cost of a process done by a human versus a bot. If let's just say a person is taking 10 minutes and a bot only takes 1 minute to process that's quite a significant reduction in the amount of time spent on that process. So that starts to give you a bit of an idea of some of the metrics, and even gained productivity. The number of gained FTEs that you have now by automating a process. A lot of these, I think, are just a good measurement of how your automation program is working, what you are spending on the automation program in itself with licenses, development costs, etc. But also, maybe the more important thing is what you're getting out of it, what you're getting back, how much benefit it truly is providing you. So I know that, license utilization and sort of that total cost of ownership can be a really important metric and tool as well, just to be able to determine how much are we spending, but how much are we getting back, and really growing this program. Okay. And then we have the reporting piece, which I think is one of the more critical pieces of this process as well, because you're able to actually show what you have been getting back in that value. And it kind of helps you throughout the process. So if we start on the left, you really have defining your objectives and KPIs. Again, I think we have some really good, consistent and standard KPIs and metrics that work for a lot of companies across the board, across business units, verticals and industries, etc. But again, this will be a more of a tailored approach to what is truly driving value for your organization. But these are some of the consistent ones we see: is process efficiency, quality, agility, or the ability to scale, and then overall process satisfaction. So, again, a lot of different ways that you can move, a lot of different ways that you can measure. Those are just some of them. And then you can utilize some of those benchmark and targets. We've seen a lot of clients in the past who use historical data, estimates, but that helps you set a baseline. Where are we? Where do we want to be? And then how do we get there? What's that delta? And then I think, utilizing and analyzing that data. We have a lot of clients that use dashboards, reports, internal surveys, even just getting some of that feedback from some of the business users with on your team. That can include interviews, even going through an audit process, sometimes as nerve-wracking as that can be. You can get a lot of data and insights out of that to determine maybe, where are your bottlenecks, what areas can you continue to focus on, and what should be prioritized really moving forward. And then the second one to the right, which is the monitor and optimize. This really is reviewing. It's going back and looking at your KPIs to determine, did what we thought was going to be successful, when we put that in place, was it truly successful? Or are there still areas for improvement? Are there still gaps, areas that we need to focus on to get that closer to what our estimate would have been? So I think it's just kind of a good look back into what you're doing. And then that communicate and report piece. It's, sharing all of your findings, making sure that everybody is aware of the success of your program. Even if there's continued areas for opportunity, those are also helpful for members on your team to be able to get an insight of, here's where we started, here's where we are now, and we still have this much to go in order to see the gains that we were expecting or estimating. But having that open and transparent communication with those on your team, and especially with leadership, is also one of those key important areas. All right. And then just, again, kind of a look back through, some of the different areas. I think that eCapital has been very successful, and especially with our experience, but especially in moving through determining the value for your own program, for your own company, really that ROI, kind of walking through what is most important for your bottom line growth, for, employee satisfaction, what really is going to help move the needle. Again, as we mentioned, there are a lot of good standard or consistent approaches to go about that, but a lot of it also too is just what is important for your organization and what really is going to move the needle for your leadership.
And I think this is just a nice reminder of depending on where you're at in your journey, if you need help or assistance, these are places that Eileen and team can come in and help. And even if it is in kind of that, how do you determine or prove out the ROI and value, if you need help with some of that, or, just where to get started on identifying processes, right? Different things. We can kind of meet you where you need help, whether it's in ideation sessions where it's, and just purely I need help kind of showing the value, and putting some of that business case together. Some of that stuff we're happy to help with as well. So definitely can be a resource for you guys as you're working through launching a program.
Perfect. Well, I think one of our last slides is just, kind of next step in the series. Obviously today was about value realization. We do have in July, as Michelle mentioned, we do have how to scale, setting up your center of excellence, and then the change management that surrounds that. So again, hopefully within this series, it is kind of a good evolution of what you can do to start, some of the next pieces in the puzzle that you can really focus on to make sure that you're set up for success. It's not necessarily a linear path of A, B, and C, but you can be doing a lot of different things in tandem to make sure that you are set up for success, and that you kind of have that North Star that you're always focusing on. So.
And I think we're always looking forward to new other topics so we can talk about later in the year too. So if there's, things that you guys are looking to learn more about and we can provide more content around, we're happy to share. So we've got, Eileen mentioned, we do have the July 25th webinar coming up, and, how to scale and change management COE. But if there's other things for that last webinar, we do still have some availability to kind of take topics. So if there's some things that people are curious about, we're happy to dive in, whether that's learning more about process, maybe it's process discovery or AI, virtual agents type of thing too. We can talk some about some of those other things as well. So definitely feedback loop is open. If there's things that you guys would like to learn more about, we're happy to weave that into our conversations as well. Looking at the Q&A, I don't see any questions. We can take questions that doesn't have to be related to ROI as well. If there's questions that anybody in the group has, happy to give you a minute or two to plug those in, but just maybe type those in the Q&A panel there if you've got any questions. give maybe a second for that. If I don't see anything, we'll go ahead and wrap up. But again, this has been recorded and we'll share back. So if anybody missed it, definitely share that back with folks as well. But it looks like we don't have anything in the Q&A, so we can probably wrap unless there's anybody just slow to type here, but we can go ahead and wrap up. And please feel free to email Eileen or myself directly too if there's questions. Our contact information is there too. So happy to address any questions you have offline too.
Well, perfect. Well, hopefully this was beneficial and at least gave some good ideas on how to get started with that value conversation. That Michelle mentioned, we're happy to do ideation and discovery sessions to do a bit of a deeper dive and to help you really find those areas of priority and what to focus on first.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time and enjoy the